I love kickstand cases, especially the ones that you can attach to a magnetic phone holder. And I have here 4 cases. One of them is for a Sony phone, and another one's for a Samsung S9 Plus, very old phone. And these 2 are for an S23 Plus. I'll put the names of each of them as I'm speaking about them on the screen. So some things I like about all of these would be the magnetic holders, and they kind of double as what do you think they call it, like a pop socket kind of thing, where you can hold your phone. At the same time, you can just attach it to your magnetic phone holder, which you can get on Amazon for cheap. I'll put a link in the description. And the other thing I like about them is that all of them have at least 2 layers, even though in times past you could separate these layers. In some cases you can still do that, as you take the hard shell off of the TPU bit on the inside. The TPU bit is still there for all of them, but it's not easily removable, except this very old one. Even so, it seems like it's taped in here somewhere, so I've never really taken it off. All right, the first one I got was for the Samsung S9 Plus, and it was good because it has the same features as I mentioned before. What I don't like is that this became loose really quickly. So sometimes I'd set the phone down and it wouldn't stay. It's gonna stay now, but this just became loose real quickly. The other thing I don't like about this is that when I'm turning this, which is useful by the way, because depending on how you want to set it up, if you want to set it up in portrait mode or landscape mode, when I'm turning it, it definitely doesn't stay. And it feels like it's going to break off. It does have hard stops at each location, but it definitely doesn't stay. In any case, it did protect the phone, and I've dropped this multiple times, and there's no visible damage. All right, so that's the one for the S9 Plus. This one's for the Sony Xperia phone. I think it's called the i3, or I think it's i3. But this case is also good. You can rotate this bit like this, not the whole thing. So unlike the others, they can rotate this way. This one just rotates at the hinge. Same thing happens with this case, is that it doesn't always stay. It's not as rigid. So if I should put the phone on and say I want it to be in portrait mode, sometimes it falls down. Yeah, like that. I didn't have it that long, but it did protect the phone. All the cutouts are easily accessible. The other thing I didn't like about this is that the buttons are a little bit hard to press. One thing I used to like doing when I first started this channel many years ago is to test how slippery it is. So this is a shiny surface, but it's glass, so it should stick, and it does. But most of us are going to have our phones on a piece of wood or something, so something like this plastic, and so it does offer some amount of friction. If you test that with the first one, so I think that's a function of the type of TPU and also how much of it is exposed. All right, and these last 2, the first one I got was well, both of these are for the S23 Plus. This first one I got worked really well. It dropped a couple times. You can see the cracks there, but the phone remains undamaged. The same thing happens here, is that this became loose really quickly. So sometimes you can't put this in portrait mode without it falling over. Right? It's not going to stay up completely, right? So that's as far as you can get it. And even then it feels like it's going to break this way. But it did protect the phone. And the only reason I'm replacing it is because of the cracks here. I'm afraid that once the cracks are visible, then the phone will no longer be protected as it should. It also helps if I don't drop the phone, but you know. All right, and this one I just got, and this is the most stylish I've ever gotten, I think. The buttons are easier to press than this one. They're nice color selections, and when you first take it out the box, it feels like this turns too easily. But it's ingenious because the pressure of the phone being in the case makes it more rigid, which is fantastic. Now, only time will tell how well this hinge will hold up as far as sticking it in portrait mode, right? Let me try it this way. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. All the buttons and cutouts are perfect. Let's test to see how slippery it is. This is on the glass front of this monitor. That's that one. And then this is this one. Try that one again. All right, so this one, probably a different type of TPU. The texture of the hard shell feels more like, how can I describe this? Like the end of a plastic fork that's been scruffed up, kind of like that. It almost wants to feel like it has little fibers on it, but it doesn't. So I think it's adequately scruffed up or deliberately scruffed up to give you more feel on here. All right, the last thing I'll say about the difference between these two cases is sometimes when I had this case on, it wasn't easy to tell which side of the phone was top or bottom. So let me take this off if I can do it without breaking the phone. Okay. And that's the benefit of having the hard shell removable from the soft bit, is that it wouldn't be so hard to take the phone off, take the phone case off. All right, so once I have the phone case on here, you can see everything looks the same. So sometimes I'd grab the phone and it's hard to tell until I feel for the button at the side, realize, oh, that's the bottom. Now, minor problem, right? And the phone just has this small camera cutout here, so if you're grabbing it without looking carefully, you can't just do it freehand at first, but it's not a big deal. In any case, I like when the cases have asymmetrical bits on it, right? So you can just take a look. So this has, you can at a glance see that this has 2 purple notches at the top based on the cutouts. This one has a big black notch on the side, so you can easily tell after a while which side's the top, which side's the bottom. This one doesn't have that. It just looks the same, almost the same on both sides. This new one, you can easily tell which side's the top, which side's the bottom, because it has the green on this side continues all the way, and this one is completely cut out, which is awesome. I think this was an error for them to have the buttons the same color as the case, the TPU case itself. All right, so far, this is the best one I've gotten, and I'm very happy with it. We'll see what happens. All right, I'll post the links in the description if you're interested. Take it easy.